Wavy trust already, yeah. I'm thankful that you did me wrong, cause now I got it right, I promise you gon' miss me gone. I done seen it all like the first picture phone. They wishing on my downfall with the wishing bone. Wavy trust already, yeah.
Acts of violence that my clients alleged to have committed, I acknowledge that ain't none more compatible than a trench of carbon while in the trenches could be viewed as a reference to a firearm. But what's the purpose, and is it anything more than just bad character evidence that suggests my clients around firearms? I just don't see any connection to any of the allegations in this case.
I honestly really care what the poster was referencing. What I'm trying to do is fix your sloppiness so that everybody won't have wasted, 10, 12 months of their lives in this trial. Y'all have, this gigantic, ginormous universe of evidence that maybe if you narrowed down, you would not be making these kinds of mistakes. But would you like a mistrial without prejudice? Yes. You would? Who else would?
Oh, man. A mistrial is looming over the Young Thug YSL RICO trial. The state didn't prep their witness, Slime Life Shawty, and he read #FreeQuay, which was redacted on the screen but not on the paper they gave him. This trial could be over today. We don't know yet. We'll know tomorrow.
That's you on Cloud 10, under rock. How you heard the mother word? What's good, y'all? It's yours truly. Once again, HeartBreak Ace. Familiar with my content or not, hit that like, comment, subscribe so the algorithm gets breaking content every time I upload. Cause I gotta keep giving y'all these videos. I don't care if it's Halloween, man. That don't mean I can't inform and entertain my people. You know what I mean? I gotta get it by any means necessary. And the voice of Young Thugger, I'm a diva tonight. I still anything but some. You already know, man. But make sure the people get the video so they can like, subscribe, algorithm, and we cool for the day. Trick or treat. Nah, you read the title, man. Free Thugger till it's backwards. How many times I gotta keep saying that? Now, with everybody and their mama taking these plea deals with Fannie Willis, is this a win for Thug? Or is it a loss for Thug? Would Thug take a plea deal? Who knows? But what I can tell you is, this is what's happening right now. Let's spin the block.
Sergeant Ingram, can you swear Mr. Ryan in?
Yes, sir. Rodalius Ryan, RODALIUS Ryan, RYAN.
And Mr. Ryan, are you the same person referred to as Rodalius Ryan on indictment number 22SC183572?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you at this time under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medicine?
No, ma'am.
How old are you?
Currently 20 years old.
And how far did you go in school?
12th grade.
Are you able to read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you are charged in this indictment with count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, which carries a sentence of 5 to 20 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you have the right to plead either guilty or not guilty to these charges?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you plead not guilty or remain silent, you may receive a jury trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had an opportunity to go over this plea of guilty and waiver rights form with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you and your attorney both reviewed it and you signed this document?
Yes, ma'am. That's my signature.
That's your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had enough time to speak with your attorney, Ms. Leah Abbasi, about all of the facts and circumstances known to you regarding charges in this indictment?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you been able to speak with her about any potential defenses?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need any more time to discuss this case with your attorney?
No.
Are you satisfied with her counsel and representation?
Yes, ma'am.
You also had another attorney, Ms. Angela D. Williams. Are you satisfied with her counsel and representation?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you waive formal reading of the indictment?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you waive any defects, if any, with respect to the indictment?
No, ma'am. Can you repeat that for me?
Sure. Do you waive any and all defects in the indictment?
Yes.
And have you been arrested on these charges, specifically count 1, the conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act?
He was already in custody, so he was not taken into custody for these charges. However, he was booked for the charges in the Fulton County Jail.
And he was served with the arrest warrants on this?
Yes.
Has Ms. Abbasi advised you of the minimum and maximum sentence for the charge that you are pleading to?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand this is a negotiated plea of guilty, which means that the state will recommend to the court a sentence of 10 years to serve, commuted to the time you have served in this case? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that this sentence should run concurrently with the sentence that you are already serving for 19 SC 168-236? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that the court does not have to accept this recommendation?
Yes, ma'am.
And the court can sentence you to the maximum on this charge.
I understand.
Do you understand that this plea may be used to enhance sentencing on other convictions in this jurisdiction as well as in other jurisdictions, including the federal courts?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand if you are not
I'm sorry, one moment. Please repeat the question. Do you understand that the
enhancing
convictions?
sentence? That one, the one on enhancing sentence?
Yes, I just needed to explain a bit more what that means.
Do you understand that this plea may be used to enhance sentencing on other convictions in this jurisdiction as well as in other jurisdictions, including the federal courts?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a guilty plea conviction will affect your immigration status and will result in deportation, just like a conviction at a trial would, and that this is true regardless of any advice by your attorney or anyone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that there may be other adverse or unfavorable consequences as a result of this guilty plea conviction, just as there would be from a conviction following a trial? For example, your guilty plea may affect your right to vote, your right to hold public office, your right to serve on a jury, your right to obtain a passport, your right to receive, possess, and transport a firearm, or the ability to obtain employment. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty to a felony, if you use, receive, possess, or transport a firearm, or use a firearm in a crime, you will be guilty of a felony, which may carry a sentence of 1 to 15 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you waive any and all defenses, including any mental health offenses, by entering a plea of guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand if you went to trial, you have the right to a trial by jury, the right to see, hear, and confront witnesses called to testify against you, and the right to testify to remain silent and not incriminate yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you are giving up the following rights? And after I say each right, I'll ask you to respond, okay? The right to trial by jury,
Yes.
the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself,
Yes.
the right to confront witnesses against you,
Yes.
the right to assist of counsel hired by you or to court-appointed counsel if you cannot afford an attorney at the trial of your case,
Yes.
the right to the presumption of innocence,
Yes.
the right to testify on your own behalf and to present other evidence,
Yes, ma'am.
the right to subpoena witnesses and compel the production of evidence,
Yes, ma'am.
the right to have the charges against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt,
Yes.
and the right to appeal if convicted of these charges at the trial.
Yes.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or promised you anything to get you to enter a guilty plea?
No, ma'am.
With respect to indictment 22 SC 183-572, how do you plead to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act?
Guilty.
Is this guilty plea freely and voluntarily given with a full knowledge of the charge against you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you may have only a limited right to appeal this guilty plea conviction?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you have 4 years from today's date to file a habeas corpus petition challenging the voluntariness and constitutionality of this guilty plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also understand that you have 30 days in which to appeal your conviction based on your plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you also understand that you have until the end of this term of court to file a motion seeking to withdraw your guilty plea?
Yes, ma'am.
With gang through a pattern of racketeering activity, and multiple defendants and unindicted co-conspirators have committed overt acts to further this conspiracy, including drug sales, aggravated assault, and murder, also including social media posts asserting their violent nature and dominance of Young Slime Life, aka YSL. Your Honor, the court has been present for evidence regarding the February 23rd, 2019 homicide of Mr. Jamari Holmes, in which Mr. Ryan and YSL co-conspirator Damon Blaylock lured both Jamari Holmes, Bernard Mitchell, and Rodney Uten to an apartment at 50 Mount Zion Road, which is in the Cleveland Avenue area. The evidence came out that during the course of that incident that Mr. Ryan, along with Mr. Blaylock, emerged from the apartment complex shooting at the vehicle which Mr. Holmes, Mr. Uten, and Mr. Mitchell were in, shooting Mr. Holmes in the head. After this incident, a few hours later, Mr. Ryan is seen posting on social media, on a public social media post saying that YSL makes the news. There has been other social media posts in which Mr. Ryan has promoted or enhanced the reputation of YSL. Your Honor, the state intended to show further evidence that once Mr. Ryan was convicted of the homicide of Mr. Holmes while in prison, he continued to enhance the reputation, power, and territory of YSL. Specifically, when YSL co-conspirator and co-defendant Christian Eppinger was given a bond for shooting at an Atlanta police officer, Mr. Ryan, while on a contraband phone in prison, posted on his social media account, he flashed the YSL sign and stated, "We're coming to get you. YSL, shit, free my N-word brisk, F the DA, the gangway, we catch a bond on this shit." Your Honor, this is the evidence that the state would have intended to show if we would continue the trial. Given the current status, Your Honor, we made an offer to Mr. Ryan for this commuted time served offer to my concurrent with his current conviction, Your Honor. And I can approach the documents.
You may. And I wanted to just add one thing to the information about the different methods you have to file things after this plea. And that is that Misty Williams and Ms. Abbasi will represent you until either the end of this term of court or 30 days, whichever's later. And so they would be the ones to talk to about filing those things, unless either of them is permitted to withdraw before that time. They would be the ones to file those for you, okay? No. All right, Ms. Abbasi, is there anything that the defense wants to add to the record?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I have had the honor really of representing Mr. Ryan along with Misty Williams, who I'm quite disappointed she could not be here today for an important day. This trial has been exhausting for everybody, and that certainly includes Mr. Ryan, who has been going through the court system since he was 15 years old. We categorically and adamantly deny that YSL is the criminal, dangerous street gang which it's been made out to be through this trial. We're actually quite happy with the record which was established during the presentation of the state's evidence of the alleged murder of Mr. Jamari Holmes. This plea today, Mr. Ryan is making a decision which is going to be the best for his future, what future he has, because he's already serving a life sentence. Were he to be convicted and sentenced to additional time, he would remain in custody. As I stated, we think the record established will strongly support his appeal, and hopefully, when his conviction is overturned, we don't want him sitting in prison for something else. Certainly not for actions he took when he was younger, and actions he took which are largely a product of how he grew up. As I stated, Your Honor, Mr. Ryan was 15 years old at the time of the Jamari Holmes murder. You've seen through the text messages, he was out at all different hours, doing all different things, which I don't think anyone would want their 15-year-old to be out doing. And so that is where he was, and so he did adopt the people who were around him, the people who could support him, the people in his neighborhood who grouped themselves, calling themselves YSL. Mr. Ryan at no point was trying to advance a criminal street gang and their interests. He was trying to protect himself, being a young person, largely on his own, and this is where he's ended up. I would like to say that there's been some sort of rehabilitative function here since he was sentenced to prison. It doesn't appear that that has happened. As you've heard, some of his additional cases are within the prison system. It would be wonderful if some of the money spent on a case like this could possibly be invested in the future of people like Mr. Ryan, who go into custody at such a young age, and who really then are not given the resources to make the changes that they really would like to make to have a productive future. With all of that said, I think Mr. Ryan has grown up a lot during this trial. He doesn't want to sit through this anymore. He doesn't want to ever be back in a courtroom ever again, Your Honor. He's heard about all sorts of incidents, which the 2015 crimes, he was 11 years old. Mr. Ryan's most sincere wish is to move on with his life, to put this behind him. And we thank the court for the opportunity to resolve the case in this way and not drag it out any further than it has been.
All right.
He just would like to thank the court, Judge.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Ryan, I just want to make sure that you understand that this is ultimately, the decision is yours to make, not your attorneys. And I appreciate that both Ms. Abbasi and Misty Williams have been available in giving you legal advice and guidance, but it's ultimately your decision. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And do you, in fact, want to plead guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you've had enough time to think about it and to discuss it with your attorneys?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Ms. Bossy, have you and or Mr. Williams talked to Mr. Ryan about the benefits and drawbacks of all of his different options?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right. I find that there is a factual basis for the guilty plea to count 1, the conspiracy to violate the RICO Act. Whatever the difference of opinion may be with regard to what YSL is or isn't, and what Mr. Ryan may or may not have intended, there is a factual basis that exists from the record, as it already is in this case, to support the necessary elements of the conspiracy to violate the RICO Act. And I have heard many of the alleged overt acts and the conspiracy evidence to advance the enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity and to control personal property and money. And I find that the factual basis for that exists. And I am going to accept Mr. Ryan's guilty plea. I find it to be freely, knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily entered with an understanding of the consequences of this plea. And I'm going to sentence in accord with the recommendation that both of the state and the defense have worked hard to negotiate here, which is a sentence of 10 years commuted to time served and to be run concurrently with the sentence that Mr. Ryan is currently serving. And certainly within the court's consideration is the knowledge that Mr. Ryan is at this time serving a life sentence for the murder of Mr. Holmes. And while I understand that that is on appeal right now, you know, those are the facts as they exist right now. So that is the sentence of this court. Mr. Ryan, at 20 years old, you have most of your life ahead of you, and I don't know what it is going to hold with regard to your appeal or anything after that. But whether it is more years in custody or whether at some point in time you see the light of day to the outside world again, which is very likely considering your age, as long as you behave yourself while you're incarcerated and do not continue to either commit crimes in prison or violate any of the prison rules. If you can be on the straight and narrow, then somebody your age, after serving some amount of time, is probably going to be considered favorably for parole. And you just have to keep that in mind, that you need to be looking out for sort of the long run and not playing the short game, but playing the long game so that you have a future in front of you still. So that is your sentence, and I wish you luck, and I wish that with further maturity, much like Ms. Abbasi has said that you have already exhibited throughout the course of this trial, that you are able to make better decisions and steer your life in a better.
All right, y'all, we back, man, like a little 10, 15 minute swerve, man. I had to pump my brakes. Y'all probably dizzy, but stay with me. Get on your seatbelt, 'cause we might have to spin again. Now, as you can see, everybody and their mama pleading. Is this a win for Young Thug, essentially? Do we know that? Well, before I even give you my breakdown, as y'all all know, y'all familiar with my channel, my guy Big at Pause is somebody that I like to listen to when I'm trying to be informed about the information about the media. Because however y'all feel about Act, he is one of the top dogs. So he gave his thesis on the situation and how he felt, what this is, and how does this affect Young Thug. So before I give you my final breakdown on how I feel about the situation, you know what we're doing. My guy Eck is already on the block. He said the ops is piling up. I said, I got you, my guy. So you already know what we're doing. You scared, stay home. I mean, it is Halloween, so I get it. Mask on, mask off. Spin the block again.
Cell is actually in court, and this trial has taken a very sharp and drastic turn. Some people thought it was about to conclude because they basically took a few days off, and after the judge admonished the prosecutors for just not knowing what the hell they were doing, essentially what pretty much happened is that the judge went to go think over actually accepting the mistrial effort. Now, if she granted a mistrial, it would mean that the state would have about like 45 days to elect to try these guys again, unless it was a mistrial with prejudice, which means they couldn't. She ruled out that she would not say mistrial with prejudice, just because they've spent millions on this case, right? So it's either got to be dead completely, but they can't go through this again. I don't think the taxpaying citizens of Fulton County can go through it again. Anyway, while thinking about it, apparently there was a meeting with Fonnie Willis in her office with all the defendants' lawyers, and it has now come to light that they're finally back in court now, presenting what's kind of the update of that. Fonnie Willis offers some of these guys a plea. For example, this guy, I think his name is Qua. Let me make sure I'm getting his name right. This guy's name is Quamarvius Nicholson, aka Qua. Okay, and hold on, give me 1 second. And he's taking a plea. Okay, so he's taking a plea. He was sitting in court this whole time, but they have came to the conclusion that it's best in his best interest to take a plea. If you're asking why he's taking a plea, and just to show you how down bad the attorneys are, like the prosecutor, they have actually offered, he had a murder charge. They dropped it. They're like, oh, no more murder, or the nigga you killed, rest in peace. Who cares? We're dropping the murder charge. Just plead to 1 count of RICO. Now, it's important why they couldn't drop the RICO charge, because the RICO charge is the one charge that links everybody together. And if you drop it for him, you could possibly drop it for everybody else. Remember, someone like Gunna, all he had was a RICO charge damn near, right? So they dropped this murder charge and they kept the RICO charge. And I believe that he's going to get a bunch of probation, not too much sure on how much time he's gonna do, but they're giving out up to 20-year probation, which to me sounds crazy. 20 years of probation? Whatever though, right? Now, we don't know if Young Thug, aka Jeffrey Williams, has accepted a plea deal. Apparently there was negotiations, but you also have to remember, at the direction of Fonnie Willis, the whole target of this, they spent the millions to get Young Thug. They don't care about Quamarvius Nichols, you know what I mean? They care to get Young Thug. Would they drop, well, they're not going to drop the RICO charge, but would they do something to say, Young Thug, spend a year in jail and then come out, you're going to be on 15-year probation? Would Thug even want that, though? Because the case is looking kind of sloppy. Also, he's been locked up for a while. Do you really want to be on, like, you know how these rappers get down, right? Like, you know what I mean? We'll get to the 6ix9ine stuff. Like, 6ix9ine, like, did a 5K1 letter, which means he cooperated. He got out of jail. And basically, they gave him some stipulations and apparently violated one. That's why he's back in.
Like a damn snitch.
Oh, man, that's cold.
Look like you about ready to go tell on somebody right damn now.
All right, gang day, you have another little 5-minute swear now. We saw the up on the block this time and I got him. Basically, what Act was trying to say is that even if this was a mistrial and they do it with prejudice, without prejudice, whatever, well, they can get a chance to try Young Thug. They only have 45 days to try him. And if they don't do that within the 45 days to submit a case that's actually worth trying again, then he's a free man. Which already thinks he's a free man. Now, they telling everybody and their mama they just want them to plead to a RICO case. Just plead to the RICO, the YSL is RICO, blah, 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 whatever, it's a gang. And they dropping all these murders and everything on everybody. They just want Young Thug. So it's like, it's iffy. Some of them's pleading to this YSL is a gang. But Young Thug stood on business from the beginning to now, and still is. So why would he take a plea deal? Because this whole time y'all been coming with the best evidence y'all possibly could, and nothing has worked. And y'all don't have anything on Young Thug but hearsay. He just stood on his business and took the trial, like he said he would, in his song. I guess y'all feel like that's a spit in the face? No, that just means Young Thug really about what he say he's about. He's standing on business. He's the illest one in Nebraska and Alaska. And Atlanta. Not y'all other fools. Not all your other perpetrators. The one that was this lawyer and played him and stabbed him in his back. For real, for real. Why would he take a plea? Him and his defense be doing a very great job since the beginning of this whole case. To some it might look like it wasn't, but they was putting the puzzles and pieces together. Fannie Willis is definitely losing this case. Now they offering people these plea deals. These niggas is tired of the case. They can't stand on business. They're not strong enough, so they just tired of it. They ready to go home, or they ready to... This they chance to not get involved in this. They can drop the murders. They taking these pleas. They copping out. But everybody that's copping out, they got something on them. Y'all don't have anything on Young Thug. It's just accusations, literally. So why would I take a plea to accusations? Y'all best defense in this, where y'all thought y'all were gonna hit me with the haymaker, did not work. YSL Woody, my fellas, I love it, Kyle. That nigga was one of y'all main witnesses. They would have won this case. And apparently he's on Thug's side. Even though he the one that initiated this by dry snitching or lying on Thug. He's gone. He doing his own thing. He don't give two fucks about y'all. The other one that y'all try to use was Moon Toon. He was trying to be too cool to not tell nothing at all, and he ended up getting 5 years for a non-valid act. He still got 5 years. All because he wouldn't say that YSL is a game. They gave him 5 years. Just for not saying that, because he was supposed to say that in the fine print, or him testifying. Who else you got? Mind you, Paige Whitaker is the third judge that's definitely going to stay on this case because the other two wasn't credible. That's another thing. What else do we need? Another star witness y'all had, God bless his soul, untimely demise, Rich Homie Quan. He passed away before he was time to testify. Literally, like the week before it was time to testify, he passed away. Do I need to continue? Who else we got? Everything y'all said, everything y'all tried to do, y'all did your hardest. Pause. In the beginning of this, 200 days, 165th day of this? Almost 200 days. Ain't have nothing on Thug. He already been locked up like a couple years already. And the trial been going on for 200 days. Damn near. I'm not taking no plea where you give me niggas 20 years probation. Because they already got in their head, like you saw with Moon Toon. Within 20 years, you going to do some kind of crime. It don't matter how petty it is. You're going to do some kind of crime where I can violate your probation so I can give you the full time what I wanted to do with you in the first place. It's just a control. Thug know that. Thug ain't stupid either. And that's why he took this to trial. Because even if he had something to do with this, he wasn't slappy like a lot of the other niggas was. Like Dirt. I'm sorry to say it, but yeah. He wasn't slappy like that. If these alleged crimes are true. Because he was, they would have been got him by now. Y'all trying to get everybody else that was involved around him to tell on him. And they ain't really got nothing to tell. All on bagging out. Because it's looking like Young Thug about to win this shit. So now they trying to stand on their toes and be solid, man. But it's too late for a lot of y'all. So will Thug plea? I don't think he will. And if he do take a plea, it's definitely going to work in his favor. But you already know, man. It is spooky time, spooky hours. It's literally Halloween at the time of me making this video. Happy Halloween to all y'all that celebrate that and leaving that or love that, whatever. However, to each his own. Eat your candy, trick or treat, nigga. But leave a comment down below, let me know how y'all feel for real. As always, I'm going to keep y'all updated on this content, man. So you already know. Like, this bro keeps showing me every day, though. Ain't showing y'all. Well, I always say, love each other. Till next time, yours truly, Heartbreak.